Still think he's natural?
Much lower. I can't say he's not natural. It's just not something I
If you had to bet and there was your life was on the line and you're listening to this guy, what would you say? What does your gut tell you? Coach Greg, and I'm here with
Marwan Hagar.
And we're going over a video by Stanyo, of which he got his blood work done at Merrick Health.
We got to really get this back in check. And guys, so
I was surprised they haven't called you yet.
I know. I was literally just saying,
sir, you need serious medical attention.
And what I like to see is that this guy, he's being proactive with his health. He's not just saying, oh, I'm not going to do anything about it. He's getting his blood work done. He sees the results and he wants actions taken. And so props to this guy.
Literally, that's like pushing more than half, like 3/4 of a year of me being like I'd say like 7%
cookbooks,
body fat.
The guy was shredded. I'm talking Tristan Lee shredded for probably 6 months plus, did a competition, won the natural show, but his testosterone levels are only at 91, and this is long after the end of the competition. And so is it possible his testosterone levels could be this low, 91, after being dieted down to this extent? Is it possible?
It's definitely possible. At 91, that's considered a range where you qualify for TRT. But in the case of a starvation diet, then he would probably want to weight it off and get back to his natural set point before considering any medications.
And so remember, we've seen Isaiah Miranda, 21 nanograms per deciliter. We've seen another guy at 13. Those are ridiculously low numbers. We said, yeah, we don't think you guys are natural. But at 91, it's certainly possible. I've coached guys who suffer from anorexia. They were under 100, and they did that through starvation diets. And look at this guy. I mean, he looks amazing, but what is really the difference between somebody who's anorexic and somebody who's not? The guy's at, 5% body fat, 6% maybe, all the time starving himself, suffering. What is the difference between that and a guy who's anorexic? The only difference is he's got a little bit more muscle from lifting weights harder than last time and possibly using SARM steroid. We don't know.
I used to work next to an anorexia unit, and the one thing we'd see is our patients would actually be doing push-ups in the rooms. A lot of people that are anorexic also do care about being fit and healthy. The two aren't inseparable, and they oftentimes accompany each other.
And so I saw at age 19, the guy weighed in at 136 pounds for his competition, so he's not that big, and so he might be natural. He doesn't have a lot of muscle, but just because you don't have a lot of muscle doesn't mean you're natural. If you're starving yourself all the time, maintaining 5 or 6% body fat, even with PDs, do you really think you're going to get jacked? You need to eat enough calories to build muscle. And if you're always dieting, as this guy clearly was, well, how much muscle can you build? And so we don't know as of yet if he's natural or if he's enhanced.
I'm just going to put, honestly, the first slide of the blood panel for you guys right up here. It's going to be up in the air.
I noticed a high MCV and a high MCH. Those are the size of your red blood cells and how much hemoglobin per red blood cell. Where in someone that has been chronically starving themselves, you'd actually expect to see lower levels of MCH, and your hemoglobin is also borderline high. In most people that are on starvation diets, the hemoglobin takes a very long time to reach a normal level. So I'm quite surprised to see your hemoglobin's at 15.9 and your MCH is elevated.
And so what I'm hearing, I'm reading between the lines. It looks more likely like somebody who took PDs, does it not?
I can't say that at all. I mean, we don't know. It's just numbers on a paper. Not accusing you or anything. But
I'm accusing.
It's an abnormal finding.
It looks abnormal. Somebody who's starving themselves, usually the numbers are lower. His numbers are higher, but yet he was starving himself. And so why would it be high? What could cause it to be high other than taking PDs? Why would it be high?
The only known cause that I can think of is increased erythropoiesis that happens downstream from androgen use. Otherwise, I don't know if he has any other hereditary conditions that can induce polycythemia.
It doesn't have to be PDs. It's not proof, but it's not looking good. Unless it's hereditary or some kind of problem. He said a lot of things that I don't understand, but that's why we got the expert here. I don't know all this stuff, and so I got someone who does. But so far, it's not looking good. I don't think he's natural based on what I'm seeing so far. But that's just one slide.
I don't know too much why or what I could say of why I still like have super high energy and why I can, push a lot of weight and still hold a lot of muscle on my frame with that low of test.
What's your theory on that? Why does this guy have energy despite being in the dump with testosterone?
I see his supplement stack has heavy hitters in there. He's taking Brolocine, he's taking Alpha 2 AM. those have a lot of beta adrenergic stimulants and very powerful stimulants, which can quite literally mask the fatigue you have from being starved. Have you ever taken any Clen or anything on?
Absolutely. Well, my first opinion was, how do we know this guy isn't on Adderall or some kind of stims or some kind of drug? I'm not going to name them, but there's a lot of drugs out there that can give you a lot of energy, even if you feel like shit. You'd be half asleep and suddenly you're awake. We don't know what he did. Maybe he's like the Treading Twins, snorting pre-workout before he does a video.
He's on Alpha 2, which he shows earlier in the video. And he's also on the Stimulant fat burner from Gorilla Mind, which have very powerful stimulants inside them. They have isopropyl norepinephrine, which is extremely powerful. Rowolsine is very powerful.
Yeah, that's potent. Yeah, so basically you have a lot of energy because you're on stims. Make sense? Think of it. If you drank 5 cups of coffee and you're really tired, you probably still feel like you're awake.
My testosterone levels, in fact, are at 91. Yeah, I'm basically a woman, guys.
And so 91, it's not actually as low as a woman.
Yeah.
It's still good. If that was for a woman, that would be high testosterone.
Yeah. The range for women is typically 30 to 80 nanograms per deciliter.
A bunch of my buddies around here that know hormones pretty well and, you know, are helping me out. And they're like, yeah, bro, like I've never even heard of that low testosterone before.
Have you ever seen a natural athlete, normal guy like this, just starving himself on a diet and been that low?
I've never seen that.
Now, personally, I have, but I've coached people severely anorexic, and so it seems possible that he is natural, but we just don't know. It's not enough information. Another thing to understand is this. You can have testosterone of 300 or 400, and that's normal for you, and you don't feel like garbage. It's all relative. If this guy was 1,000 to pass and now he's 91, then that's horrible. But some people are in the 300s, and it's normal for them. And so if you just come back with a testosterone level of 350, doesn't mean you're somehow shut down, that you're suppressed. It could be a normal number for you.
That's 100% true. If you feel like your energy is on point, your sex drive is on point, but you have a low reading, it's just a number and it's not reflective of your symptoms.
And the craziest thing to me is that if my test right now sitting here is 91, then with incorporating a lot of fats and carbs still post-show, I wonder what my test was at 2 months ago.
And so what do you think of that now? This is 2.5 months later after the diet was over and he's added in carbs and fats. You know you have to eat more. And it's only 91 now. So what would have been back then? Still think he's natural?
Much lower. I can't say he's not natural. It's just not something I
If you had to bet and there was your life was on the line and you're listening to this guy, what would you say? What does your gut tell you?
There was an external factor involved beyond his dieting. I don't know what it was. I don't know.
There you have it. Some external factor is causing this. We need to get to the root of it. If he had to bet, which he's not. Yeah, and you know, as we're reading the blood work, it's like, I don't really care personally whether he's on something or not. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. It's a video. Give you my opinion. Obviously could be wrong. I'm guessing. How would I know? I'm not this guy. I don't know. He looks natural. He says he's natural. I want him to be natural. But at the same time, if everything is natural and his testosterone is this shitty and he can't get an erection for 4 months and his blood work is out of whack, then that's bad. I think I'd rather prefer that he's actually a fake natty. If he's a fake natty, he explains a lot of this and then he can fix it. But if he's not a fake natty, then what's causing all these problems, of which we're going to get into in just a minute?
I wonder really what my test was at 2.5 months ago.
Could it have actually been below 30 if he was 100% natural, just from dieting?
Below 30, the range of like castration is below 20. So we have seen in natural circumstances and people without any testicles where they do go below 20. Normally, if your testicles don't work, your kidneys are still making hormones, and in many females and castrated individuals, they can actually be above 30 nanograms per deciliter just from adrenal production alone.
And so what I'm hearing is, no, it's probably not going to be below 30. You could off and still be above 30. And so I certainly hope that dieting is not going to cause you to be below 30, because that would be equal to castrating yourself. And so highly doubtful. But if you're on PDs, taking Tren, you know, stuff like that, could be that low. Not saying you're on it, but it's not looking good for you right now. And so this very suspicious to me. The cholesterol, the liver values, what do you see there?
First thing I noticed is you have an elevation in all AST, ALT, ALP, where the first thing I think is this is a sign of a liver injury or kind of liver stress, it doesn't mean you have poor liver function. It just indicates in that point in time your liver is acutely stressed. And when we see elevations in ALP, a lot of times that indicates bile duct blockage, where it's unfortunate that you didn't have your GGT measured, because if you had your GGT measured, then we would know with much more predictive value if it was a bile blockage. The best thing to do would be to go to your doctor, like you mentioned, and perhaps get a liver ultrasound.
Okay, and so you're saying this all just from his AST and whatnot, and nothing to do with his cholesterol, of which is severely elevated. I mean, to me, that's a super high number for cholesterol.
So what could happen with bile duct blockages, and this is not about you, Stanio, this is just in general. When your bile ducts are blocked, cholesterol backs up, and then you see an increase in serum cholesterol, because cholesterol is what is used to make bile. So if your liver is constantly pumping out cholesterol to make more bile because there's a blockage, you see an increase in cholesterol, an increase in ALP. However, if you were taking exogenous androgens, you'd see an increased cholesterol from the other downstream effects of taking androgens.
And so what causes this bile obstruction? Is it from over dieting? Is it from PDs? Is it from either? What could cause this? It's just hereditary?
Well, I have no clue because I don't have his ultrasound and I'm not a doctor. So I'm not saying he has a bile obstruction, but if he did, a lot of causes could be hereditary, and also losing weight rapidly can cause stones to form around the bile ducts.
So it is possible that just from severely crash dieting, it's caused all these problems with his health. And so, I mean, if you're just an average person watching this, does this look worth it to you to get down 5-6% body fat? Yeah, you're a model, but what good is being a model? He can't have sex. He hasn't had a hard-on in months. He has energy, but probably from taking stims. His cholesterol, his liver enzymes, his testosterone, it's all out of whack. All for what? To get more likes on Instagram? Is it worth it? Oh, I'm super popular. Everyone's watching my channel. I can get all the girls, only you can't do anything with them when you actually meet them. Okay, I see LH is low, FSH is normal. What about that? What's that tell us?
If you were on a compound, the clearance time of it would be very short, because usually when you're on testosterone, it takes a long time to clear your system. So you'd be suppressed for a very long time.
Unless it's test suspension and it's out of your system in a matter of days.
Yeah, so this is a natural value where if you were natty, your LH and FSH would be around this range from my experience.
For a natural guy, is it not suspicious that he waited 2.5 months to do the blood work test? Like, why not do it right away? You did the test, why not get it done? Could it be possible that he was taking something in the past, wanted to give it time to clear out, and then get his blood work done, and then he's shocked that his testosterone levels are 91? Oh, I thought I'd be back to 250 by now. It's been 2.5 months. I haven't used SARMs in 2.5 months. I thought I'd be 250. I feel a little bit better. I'm eating more, but look at the results. And so to me, I'm not feeling that the guy's natural. I don't feel natty vibes from this blood work. See how I think? I think way more deep than you do. I'm like, why would he do this? Why would he wait 2.5 months to get blood work done? He was feeling like shit. He wasn't getting erections. He's thinking, yeah, I'm not getting erections because, well, why not? Because I'm on tren. Give you the night sweats. He's getting all those problems. Perhaps he's on those drugs. He knew that's why it was affecting all the downstairs. But then 2.5 months later, he's like, it's still not working? What did I actually do? Perhaps I regret making those decisions.
The thing is, Coach Greg, so if he was not natural, he would ideally be taking a PCT. Let's say he took HCG, his LH would be much lower if he was on HCG. If he took Clomid or enclomiphene, his LH would be super high and his FSH would just be normal or below normal, where I'm not seeing this. So it's hard for me to say he took a PCT, and it's also hard for me to say that an individual would do a cycle without taking a PCT, unless that's what he did.
I believe he has no knowledge of supplementation, and so perhaps he took something in secret. Remember, he's a natural guy lifting in a natural competition. Is he going to go and tell all his friends, hey, guess what? I'm actually using Anavar and Ostrine and Tren. No, he's not going to tell anyone. So it's got to be a secret. And so he can't tell anyone. So if you are being a fake natty, part of being a fake natty is not telling people about it. Remember, if you're a liver king and you start telling people, hey, I'm on this, then suddenly a video's made and you're exposed. And so he couldn't tell anyone. So my opinion, probably took something, don't know what it was, and then got off of it, waited 10 weeks, said, by now it's cleared on my system. I'm going to get blood work done. Derek and Greg can make video on it, and they're going to say, look, these values, they prove that I'm a natural. Only did it prove you're natural? Not really. Testosterone at 91, 10 weeks after the show is over?
My sex drive is Non-existent. I literally like do not get horny at all. I have nothing, like no desire to do anything. Like,
You gotta give the guy props. He's admitting he hasn't had sex in about 6 months. Him and his girlfriend, he hasn't been able to get hard, yet he doesn't get blood work until now.
I'm glad you got it done and it's out the way now. However, in the future, it would be recommended for you to be on top of your health. You only have one life. You want to protect your health at all costs.
And what about that SHBG?
For people dieting, their SHBG I usually see is above 50, 60. It's super high, where yours was quite low, is 22.7.
And I also noticed when you're on supplements, and I mean testosterone, like supplements like that, typically SHBG is lower. At least for me, every time I did a cycle, my SHBG would go down. And when I would diet down, SHBG is going to be higher, natural. And so why is his 20?
What medications are you on? What supplements are you on? And perhaps maybe you can correlate the two. Or maybe it's your baseline. Do we have baseline blood work for you before you started prep? That would be very helpful in interpreting these results.
And he did mention that he was feeling depressed. We don't know if he has certain medication for being depressed. We don't know his total history. And so we're not his doctors. We're just reading what we're seeing. So we're doing the best. But definitely, the guy needs to go and talk to his doctor, a real doctor. He see in person and get the testing done to figure out and come to the bottom of this. This is serious. It's not to be taken lightly.
I see that your estrogen is 11.6, and with a low total testosterone of 91, I'm kind of surprised your estrogen is this high. I would expect to see it way lower, like below the reference range.
Yeah, and so when your testosterone level is low, there's always a test to estrogen ratio. And so because his testosterone is so low, you would also expect estrogen to be so low. And so is this kind of a side on favor of him being a fake natty?
Personally, I believe that it might indicate that.
And if you have low testosterone, having trouble in the bedroom, G-test and harder than last time to literally help you get harder than last time, of which this guy certainly needs. And I'm not saying this would cure it for everyone, but it certainly can't hurt. So eat more, go see your doctor, find out what the root of the problem is. If you're actually natural, figure out the problem. And if you're a fake natty, well, figure it out.
my testosterone then in the video was, I think it was like around like 650. So I think that's what my test was at like 10 months ago. Like,
So what do you think now? It used to be 650, and now it's 91, all from a diet, and it's been off the diet for 10 weeks. Still think the guy's natural?
I don't know what's going on
So
here.
we have a side bet between...
I want to say you're natural. I do.
So we have a side bet between us going, and I sent a video last night, like, what do you think? And I'm like, I think this guy's a fake natty. He's like, I think he's natural. I don't want to say he's natural. I'm like, just give the honest opinion. He doesn't want to say fake natty. He doesn't want to be me. He's not Coach Craig. I just speak the truth. So what do you think now? 650.
I think there's an external cause to this beyond the dieting, beyond the training. That's what I think.
And so read between the lines. There's an external cause for this.
I've had trouble like sleeping too. I'll wake up like throughout the night and I'll get like night sweats. I don't know what that has anything to do with it.
One thing I've seen clinically, usually night sweats can indicate an infection or a malignancy. Those are the two worst possible outcomes. But when you do go to your doctor, please mention that.
Yeah, night sweats just out of the blue. It shouldn't happen. Now, if you're using Tren, obviously, but if you're suffering from hypogonadism, you're experiencing low testosterone levels, that is one of the signs. But also, it's a sign of stimulant abuse. We don't know. This guy has a ton of energy. Why is that? And so you really got to get tested. We don't want to find out that later down the road, oh, wow, he was suffering from some form of a cancer or something going on. And so based on this guy's energy, I would never have guessed he had all these problems. But who knows? It could be just he takes the stimulants before the video. He's feeling good. But I don't think there's anyone that can just maintain that level of shreds and not experience any negative side effects. And so please stop trying to be perfect. There's no such thing. Just do the best you can do. Set realistic goals. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the algorithm. Obviously, watch one of the two bloops. Code Greg, 10% off the cookbooks, the HCLT supplements, all that kind of stuff. Follow me on Instagram, Greg Doucette IP Pro. And until next time, we are out.